Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties Chapter 45.
We're exploring that precise moment a loyal official decided he had, and this is the key phrase, no place to stand, and was forced to choose rebellion.
That phrase, no place to stand, it sums up the entire tragedy of Qin Shubao, or Qin Zheng, as he was also known.
Right.
And we have sources detailing his eventual but really agonizing defection. The whole story is defined by this conflict that the documents highlight right at the start. The ideal is, from one to the end, faithful unto death.
This is the integrity of a loyal official.
Yeah. But that ideal gets shattered.
It's systematically shattered by the reality of the court. I mean, this isn't the story of a man who suddenly got greedy or ambitious.
No, not at all.
This is a story of a man whose loyalty was turned into an existential threat through jealousy and betrayal. And it all begins with him thinking about the exact opposite of rebellion.
That's right. He's in his military camp, and he's completely preoccupied with how to serve his post and, specifically how to repay this deep, life-saving debt to his benefactor, Zhu Tuo. He's literally thinking about loyalty when the world comes crashing in.
And the first warning, it arrives so subtly. A messenger, Shan Quan, shows up from Diziking.
And Shan Quan is the manager for Qin's sworn brother, Shan Xiangxin, a trusted ally. So Qin sees him, he assumes, oh, this is just a friendly visit about my second brother.
Just a normal day.
A completely normal day. But this is not a social call. When Shan Quan makes sure they're alone, he pulls out a letter. And this detail in the source material is so critical. The letter is sealed, and it's addressed, Mother to Kunger's hand tear.
Wow, so it's personal, right from the start.
Immediately personal. And urgent. Qin sees that seal from his mother, and he knows. The source says he stood dumbfounded for a long time after reading it. His whole world just stops in that instant.
Okay, so the emotional threat is there. Then Shan Quan starts explaining the political reality behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
What is his mother so afraid of?
She's afraid of the report, the official report to the court. Shan Quan explains that even though King is safe right now, officials back in Kijin are absolutely going to report that Luo Shixin, another of Qin's sworn brothers,
right,
had rebelled, fought off officials, and took the entire Qin family to join the rebels.
And that's the trigger. That one action, even if Qin didn't authorize it, lets the court legally label the whole family as part of the rebel party, the Ning.
Exactly. And once that accusation is on file, all his legal protection just evaporates.
So even his longtime protector, Zhang Tongshu, is basically helpless.
Completely powerless. Zhang had shielded him for a decade, but he can't fight an official court report of treason that has evidence behind it. The pressure cooker is starting to boil.
And before he can even really process that, the political reality just smacks him in the face. His own household servant, Lu Ming, arrives.
And he's weeping.
Oh, man.
Lu Ming's report confirms everything. He tells Qin that the local official, Zhu Juncheng, did try to seize the family, but then the violence just exploded. Luo Shixin was captured, but he staged this dramatic escape from the prisoner cart, using stones to kill 7 or 8 officials in the process. I mean, this isn't just an escape anymore. It's a battle. It's multiple murders.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Oh, yeah. The chaos didn't stop. Lu Ming then says Zhu Juncheng himself was found murdered in his yamen, his office, and a scribe was killed at the land god temple.
So the brutality of these acts, I mean, whether it was Luo Shixin or someone else, suddenly makes Qin's position totally impossible.
It's untenable. He's not dealing with an argument anymore. He's dealing with high treason and homicide, and the sources stress the timing. Lu Ming says these murders actually created enough chaos at the gates for him to slip out and warn Qin.
But he also delivers the final blow.
He does. The official report with all the details of these murders is going to reach Qin's protector, Zhang Tongshu, tonight.
Tonight. The window is closed. It's no longer an accusation. It's documented proof of crimes committed by his sworn brothers, which makes him guilty by association.
And you have to remember, the source material specifically calls out Qin's archenemy at court, Yuan Shu, as plotting painstakingly and will not stop until he has killed Qin.
So this is the perfect weapon for him.
Yeah.
Yuan Shu has this decade-long vendetta, and now Luo Shixin has just handed him the unassailable legal argument to destroy Qin.
Exactly. This is the moment loyalty becomes a death sentence.
Which brings us right to this battle inside him. Conscience versus pragmatism. You see him sighing, just lamenting this whole disaster. He actually says, I intended to keep this body to serve the country and repay my benefactor, But this situation has arisen. My heart is known only to heaven.
And that statement is just so critical. For him, defecting is a betrayal of his deepest values. Gratitude to the state, sure, but more importantly, gratitude to Zhang Tongshu, the man who kept him alive.
He's trying to hang on to his integrity, even as the world is burning down around him.
But this is where Shan Quan, the messenger, steps in as the voice of, cold, hard reality. He just argues fiercely against all this idealism.
He basically gives them an ultimatum, right?
A very clear one. The warning is, look, your sentimental ideas about gratitude are useless. With the killing of officials, in the dark of night, not even 100 Zhang Tongshus can save you now.
And here's the really sharp part of Shan Quan's advice. If Qin waits, Zhang Tongshu will be forced to save himself.
Right. The pressure from the capital will be too much. Zhang will have to expose Qin, confirm his guilt, and that means immediate execution.
So by trying to stay loyal, he just gets himself killed and destroys his family's only hope.
The logic is just devastating. So Shan Quan's recommendation is purely pragmatic. Quietly merge the army you command with the mountain camp. He's telling him to defect, take his troops, and use his skills to become a king or a warlord. Survival is the only option.
But Shin, he doesn't take it. The sources show he draws this moral line in the sand.
He does. He refuses to take his loyal Sui army and turn them into thieves Zuaze. He will not corrupt his men.
That's a remarkable choice.
It's an older chivalric code, so instead of a mass defection, he decides to escape alone, quietly, with just a few trusted men. But first, he insists on writing a formal letter of resignation to Zhang Tongshu. His goal, he says, is simple: mother and son reunion.
And that need for integrity, it really comes through in that final act. Let's dig into this letter because it's not some rush note. It's a carefully crafted document.
A political document addressed to En Zhuzhang Darren Huixia, or esteemed patron Zhang. The language is so deferential, and it's all designed to protect Zhang.
How so?
He starts by listing Zhang's favors. Seeing Kyung with a favorable eye for years saves Chong from death. He's making sure that if the court finds this letter, they see Zhang as a great patron who was betrayed, not a co-conspirator.
And then he justifies leaving, and this part is so strategic. He doesn't blame the emperor. He blames his own youthful chivalry.
Specifically, killing the cruel at Chang'an, which is what started the feud with Yuan Shu in the first place. He reframes the whole thing as a personal vendetta that the state can't solve for him.
That is a brilliant political shield.
It is. And he downplays the current crisis. He says Luo Shixin's flight to the grasslands was against his will. He's essentially saying, I'm fleeing a blood feud, not starting a rebellion.
But the killer detail is the analogy he uses.
Yes. He compares his departure to Shu Shu returning to Cao Cao.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Shu Shu was a strategist who had to leave his master, Liu Bei, because his enemy, Cao Cao, had captured his mother. It was the ultimate I have no choice move.
It sends a powerful message to both sides. To the Sui regime, it says, my heart is loyal, but my hands are tied by family duty. To the rebels, it says, I didn't come to you for power, I came because my mother was there. It's an apology and an explanation all in one.
And then there's that desperate promise at the end. If they ever meet again in battle, he swears to repay Zhang's kindness by slitting my neck and severing my head.
That's the IOU written in blood. It's meant to be read by the authorities. It's him saying, Zhang, I'm sorry, but I won't drag you down with me. You can show them this letter and say I pledged my life to you. It gave Zhang a defense.
Couldn't that promise also be, a way to protect his own reputation? So that even if he became a rebel king, his story is one of noble necessity, not betrayal.
Oh, absolutely. It's a measure of control in a situation where he has none. He's lost control of his political fate, but he's taking back control of his own story. He leaves not as a coward, but as a man of principle.
So the letter is sealed, placed on the desk, and the escape begins. He packs his personal items, his famous double maces, the shangjian, and his salary.
His accumulated salary, yeah. He takes what is legally his. He doesn't loot the camp or anything. He just resigns.
He leaves with just Shan Quan, Lu Ming, and 4 or 5 close attendants. But now he has to physically get away.
The last hurdle. He can't just gallop out.
So he secures his escape with one final critical lie. He tells the guards that Zhang Tongxiu himself ordered him to go scout the rebels, Jitanze King, and that he'll be back in 2 days.
A temporary lie that buys him the few hours he needs to be gone for good before that murder report lands on Zhang's desk.
So while Qin is racing toward his mother, let's look at the other side, at the rebel camp at Wagangshan.
Yes, the leaders Zhai Rang, Li Xuansui, and the strategist Xu Maogong, They're already talking about this. They know about Qin's family. They knew where Luo Shixin is. They know Qin is coming, and they want him badly.
And the sources show some impatience there. Li Xuansui is eager. He says something like, Brother Qin will certainly join us, and suggests they send troops right away to get his mother.
Just go get her, bring her to the mountain, and seal the deal.
Right. But Xu Magong, the strategist, he's more cautious.
Much more. He says, wait. He gets the local politics at Duziking. He knows the strongmen holding the family won't just release Qin's mother, or more importantly, release Qin himself. They have to get the general first.
And what's so fascinating is that Xu Maogong isn't just planning a welcome party. He's planning a massive expansion.
Exactly. He uses this meeting about Qin to pivot to logistics. He sees their camp is growing, the people's eyes are numerous, and they need food. They need resources. Now,
And you, the listener, have to remember this context. Xin Shubao isn't just some political prize for them. He is an essential military asset they need to support this expansion. Xu Maogong is already planning a major raid on Yingyang and Liangjun, rich areas full of merchants.
and this isn't some small raid. It's a highly sophisticated two-wave attack with 4,000 men. They are leveling up from a small rebel band to a serious military power. This is why they held Shan Xiangshan back from the raid. They needed him for a more important job.
And that's the moment Shan Quan returns.
With the news. Qin Shubao has resigned and is on his way to Duziking. The letter is the final trigger. It confirms the break with the Sui.
So no more waiting.
No more waiting. Himo immediately sends Shan Xiangshan and another commander to Duziking. And you get this great detail. Xu Mogong gives Shan Xiangshan secret instructions in his ear. They take a fast, direct path, racing to intercept Qin before he gets tangled up.
The immediate fallout from Qin Shubao's big move and the pretty overwhelming countermeasures from the Sui dynasty. And it sits it right against the response from the Sui's top generals, Zhai Sutuo and Pei Renji.
Exactly. We need to understand the calculus here, you know. What made full-blown rebellion the only way to survive?
And we start right in the middle of it all in media res. Qin Shubao and his small group, Lian Ming is with them. They've just separated from Shan Quan.
And they know they're fugitives now.
So they're immediately off the main roads, taking these small paths through villages, just desperate not to be recognized.
It's that moment of maximum vulnerability, you know. But it doesn't actually last that long.
No.
They hear this loud shout, "Is that Brother Qin Shubao ahead?" And then suddenly, everything changes. It's Shan Xiangxin and Jia Runfu.
And they're not alone.
Not at all. They're leading a pretty substantial group. The text says 2 or 3 dozen Luluo.
Which is basically their followers, their men.
Right, so they're catching up, and this reunion is just, it's absolutely critical.
The opening dialogue really sets the tone, doesn't it? Shan Jiangxin gets off his horse, grabs Qin Shibao's hand, and just delivers this incredibly sarcastic line.
Brother, you have rendered good service to the Sui family.
I noticed that, yeah. The text really emphasizes the word service.
It drives home that feeling of betrayal. I mean, it's the sound of loyalty dissolving in political acid, really. Qin Shubao gave everything to his service. And what did he get for it?
Persecution. A bounty on his head. All thanks to corrupt officials like Yuan Shu. He basically crossed the Rubicon just by staying alive.
But this is where you see that contrast. You know, the political system is decaying, but the personal bonds are stronger than ever.
There's still fugitives on the run, but the focus just snaps right back to loyalty. They've barely processed this reunion when another writer,
Luo Shixin, he just comes flying in.
exactly, comes flying in, and he's clearly been searching for days.
And Luo Shixin's dramatic entrance, it's all about one thing.
Qin Shibao's mother. It's the very first thing he asks about. Is she safe?
Yeah, and Luo Shixin confirms she is, but the source says she was so worried she'd been sending him out to scout the road 2 or 3 times a day.
Wow. That's just intense personal stress. It really shows the price of all this.
And that family connection, it dictates everything, even the reunion. They head back to Zengi Hall where his mother, his wife Zhang Shi, and his son are all waiting.
You'd expect him, as a devoted son, to greet his own mother first.
But he doesn't. He spots Cheng Ziji's mother, who'd been sheltering them, and he immediately kneels to her first.
It's about acknowledging that debt, that profound respect.
Yeah, and Cheng Mother is just the beating heart of this whole scene. She embraces him and calls him by his childhood nickname, Taiping Jie.
Peaceful brother.
It's the perfect human moment in all this political chaos. Cheng Ziji gets a bit embarrassed and says, "Mother, Brother Qin is an official now. Stop calling him that."
And her response is just,
Huh.
It's perfect.
Oh, it's everything. She just laughs and says that since they're all family, she'd call him Taipingje, even if he became the emperor.
That moment right there, that underscores why this group ultimately succeeds. Their foundation isn't political ambition.
No, it's this deeply ingrained familial loyalty that goes way beyond titles or allegiance to a state that's, just crumbling around them.
It's a fantastic emotional anchor.
Yeah.
But once the sentiment dies down, they have to face reality. Shubao tells them what happened on his campaign.
And the strategic assessment begins. They realize their current setup, it just won't work.
Right.
Junda confirms he and Cheng Ziji had to abandon their base after the chain sealing incident. Then Shan Xiangxin admits he had to move from his second-worthy manor because of trouble with Li Xuansui.
So the consensus forms pretty much instantly.
They have to pursue what the source calls a career in the mountain stronghold. They've been pushed too far.
And there's that initial bravado from Cheng Ziji, right? He's always ready for a fight. He suggests they just build a bigger fortress and try to become emperors themselves.
But that impulse, that idea of staying independent, it just completely collapses the very next day.
Why? What happens?
The external pressure just ramps up dramatically. A messenger arrives from Wagang, sent by Zhu Maogong, carrying a mibao.
A secret report.
And this document, this is the catalyst. This is what turns a group of friends seeking refuge into the unified, large-scale revolutionary army of Wagang.
Okay, so let's break down the intelligence here because it sounds terrifying. What exactly did this report reveal?
Well, the decree from the imperial court in the eastern capital was immediate and overwhelming. First, they confirmed the mobilization of two of the Sui's most feared commanders.
Okay.
Pei Renji, the governor of Henan for suppression of rebels, is leading a massive force. We're talking 20,000 professional troops.
20,000. Just to put that in perspective for you, that is not a raiding party. That's a small, organized imperial army.
Exactly. An army designed to suppress major revolt. And Pei Renji is coordinating directly with Zhang Sutuo, the governor of Shandong.
So they have two objectives. First is to quash the followers of Li Mi and Wang Bodang.
Yes, but the key detail, the one that seals everyone's fate.
What is it?
It's the second objective. The Sui court is specifically ordering these two massive forces to locate and severely punish the heavy criminal Qing Xiong for escaping and murdering officials.
And it doesn't stop there.
No. They are also ordered to strictly arrest his family and destroy their base. That is an existential personal threat.
That completely shifts the dynamic from we should probably leave to if we stay here, our mothers get arrested and executed.
Right. Neutrality is officially game over.
Even Cheng Ziji, for all his bravado, realizes they can't face 20,000 imperial troops with their small following.
And Qin Shubao knows the quality of the generals they're up against. He immediately counters Cheng Ziji, pointing out that Zhang Sutuo isn't just brave, he's courageous and resourceful. And Pei Renji is a veteran.
Facing them at their current location would be suicide.
So it's Yu Junda who says what they're all thinking. He reminds them Zai Rang has already invited them to Wagang.
And since Shan Xiangxin's family is already there, and now Qin Shubao's family is in the direct line of fire.
They have to combine their strength.
Yeah.
And this move, it wasn't just impulsive. Shan Xiangxin tells them he already saw this coming.
You've been preparing.
Yeah. He'd already told the Wagang leadership to get ready for them. 40 to 50 new rooms built, water defenses strengthened, watchtowers repaired, warehouses secured. This was a pre-planned strategic integration.
Waiting for that final push.
Exactly.
And once the decision is made, the execution is swift. Jia Runfu is sent ahead to notify Zhu Maogong.
Right. And then Qin Shubao, Cheng Ziji, and Yu Junda gather their families, including Qin Mother, and everything they can carry. Gold, silk, provisions, grain.
We need to just pause on the scale of this. This isn't 4 guys on horseback.
No. The source material confirms the whole group leads over 2,000 men into Wagang. This is the moment a loose alliance transforms into a professional military unit.
A unit capable of fighting the Imperial Army head-on.
And the sources have this beautiful, ancient couplet to sum it all up.
The fierce tiger grows twin wings, the flood dragon gains the cloud.
It's the perfect poetic summary. They've just massively enhanced their power. They're no longer just a few skilled fighters trying to survive. They now have the strategic depth and manpower of Wagang.
And Wagang has just absorbed the best martial talent in the region.
So as this newly fortified rebel army is making its way to Wagang, let's switch our focus back to the imperial side, to General Zhang Sutuo.
Who's in Ping 1, and he immediately notices Qin Shubao is gone.
And what's fascinating is his reaction isn't suspicion, it's genuine concern. He thinks Qin Shubao must be sick, so he sends his subordinate, Fan Jianwei, to check on him.
But Fan Jianwei comes back with a lie.
A false report that Qin Shubao was sent on a mission days ago. But Zhang Sutuo knows that's not true. He thinks, I never sent him anywhere.
The truth finally lands when a formal document arrives from Kizu. He opens it and realizes Qin Shubao has fled, having formed a grudge against Zhu and Shu.
We really have to pause and analyze Zhang Sutuo's reaction here. It speaks volumes about the failure of the Sui dynasty.
It's just profound regret.
Genuine regret. He calls Qin a man of Korean resource, his most capable helper. He actually laments, now that he is gone, what should I do?
That's not a general losing a chess piece. That's a man heartbroken over losing a talented, trustworthy friend and lieutenant to corrupt court politics.
And that's the crux of the issue, isn't it? The dynasty's internal corruption is actively stripping away its most effective defenders.
The one man who could probably quell this rebellion is mourning the loss of the one man who could have helped him do it.
The irony is brutal. Zhang Sutuo knows exactly why he fled. It wasn't treason, it was forced dissent. But he's a loyal general. He has to follow his orders.
And the dynasty gives him no time to mourn. An imperial decree immediately transfers him. He's now the governor of Xinjiang, and his specific task is to clear out Zairang.
And it's significant that he only takes 2 trusted subordinates with him, men who are also friends with Qin Shubao, Fan Hu, and Tang Wanren.
So he's thrown right into the fire. Zairang and Li Mi are aggressively attacking near Xinjiang. Zairang even gets to the city gates.
Leading over 1,000 men, just widespread killing and plundering, the city is under siege.
But this is where Zhang Sutuo proves why he's so respected, even by his enemies. Despite the chaos, despite losing Qin Shubao, he and his 2 lieutenants each lead 500 elite soldiers and just charge out of the gates.
The sources get almost mythic here. They describe him as having a divine spear, a Shen Cheng.
Which isn't a magical weapon. It's just a way of saying his skill is almost supernatural.
Right. He's so swift and powerful, he just tears into the rebel ranks and becomes completely unstoppable.
Zairang and his lieutenants are just overwhelmed.
Instantly routed. Zairang is forced to flee, and Zhang Sutuo chases him for more than 10 li.
That's about 3 or 4 miles.
Inflicting severe damage. He only stops and pulls back when the main forces of Li Mi and Wang Bodang finally arrive to reinforce the retreat.
So this first clash shows the newly unified rebels exactly what they're up against.
Absolutely. Even with 2,000 new men, the imperial system still has generals of immense skill. Zhang Sutuo is a singular force.
Okay. He was basically the last real authority figure in the region for the Sui.
He was. And his unwavering sense of duty was, in the end, the very thing that got him killed.
Okay, let's unpack this. The stage is set for this tragedy near a place called Dahai Temple.
Right. The rebel leader, Li Mi, sets up this massive ambush. And the source material, it paints a picture of just total violence and chaos. Sutuo is right in the middle of it, wounded. His battle dress is stained with blood, but he's still fighting.
He's still pushing forward.
Yeah.
But the key here is that his focus isn't on strategy or even his own life.
No, not at all. It's on the safety of his subordinates, the men he brought with him, Tang Wanren and Fan Hu. And he actually does it. He breaks through the enemy lines once and opens a path to safety.
But he doesn't take it.
No, he stops. He turns around.
Why?
He realizes Tang Wanren is still trapped back there, injured and about to be overwhelmed. Sutuo, without a second thought, he just turns his horse around and charges straight back into the fight.
And he saves him. He pulls Wanren out. I mean, you have to pause here. Is that incredible selflessness or is it just fatal recklessness given the situation?
That is the core tension, isn't it? Strategically, it's a disaster. He should have saved his main force and retreated. But the story presents this as the ultimate act of a loyal patron. His duty extends to every single man under his command.
So he gets Wanren to safety, tells his troops to escort him away, and then...
He turns around again to find Fan Hu. He literally says he won't return alone.
But Fan Hu was already dead at this point, wasn't he?
Tragically, yes. He'd been thrown from his horse and trampled in the chaos. So Sutuo goes back into the fire for a man who's already gone, and that's the moment Li Mi had been waiting for.
He's completely exposed.
And what's fascinating here is that Li Mi had been hesitating. He'd been holding back his archers because he didn't want to accidentally hit Sutuo's men, Fan Hu and Tang Wanren. You know, that old strategic problem, the fear of breaking the vase to kill the rat.
Because he saw them as potential recruits.
Exactly. But the moment Sutuo was alone, that problem vanished.
And that was it. The arrows came down, the text says, like flying locusts, and the loyal governor, Zhang Zituo, was killed on the field.
And his death was an immediate political earthquake. Within days, several major counties just defected to Limi. It was a huge military victory for the rebels, but the narrative frames it as this profound moral tragedy. The purest form of duty was just extinguished.
So that news travels back to the rebel camp at Wugang. And this is where we find Qin Shubao.
Right. And while the rebel leaders are celebrating these enormous gains, the source describes Qin Shubao as just quietly shedding tears.
This is where his new political reality just smashes right into his personal history.
It's a huge conflict for him. His debt to Zutua wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Zutua had defended him in court, behind the scenes against false accusations. He'd shown him immense grace.
And Shubao feels he abandoned him, that by surviving, he somehow caused his death.
100%. But he can't exactly mourn a fallen Sui loyalist in the middle of a rebel celebration, so he has to come up with a cover story, a mask for what's really a very personal mission.
What does he say?
He tells his comrades, including Shan Xiangshen, that they have to go to Xinjiang to meet with Li Mi. He frames it as pure political opportunity. He says, look, if you just want to be thieves, stay here. But if you want to plot to become kings, you have to join the new power structure.
That's the political calculation.
That's the public story. But his real mission is to find Zhang Zituo's body and pay his respects. He even sends his servant ahead, not to scout the political landscape, but to find the remains.
So this is a pilgrimage disguised as a power move.
Perfectly put. And you see it in the journey itself. Shubao travels separately with just a couple of close companions, Shan Shanshan and Luo Shixin. It gives him the space to focus on this personal debt.
But even as he's wrestling with this, his value to the rebels is skyrocketing.
Oh, absolutely. Li Mi specifically asked for Qin Shubao to be brought to him. Shubao is a rising star, which, only makes his guilt worse. He's succeeding because his honorable patron is dead.
So he finally arrives near Zhangzhou. He learns that the bodies of Zhu Tuo and Fan Hu have been recovered and are in coffins at Dahai Temple.
And that's where he heads, ready for a confrontation, not with an enemy army, but with his own conscience.
And the scene at the temple, it's just devastating. It's set up perfectly to deliver this moral critique of his survival.
It really is. Shubao and his men arrive. They see the two coffins, the memorial tablet for the governor. But the first shock isn't the bodies. It's the other mourners.
The soldiers.
That's right. There are about 40 or 50 of Yutua's surviving soldiers there, all dressed in white mourning robes, and they tell him they're standing guard over the coffins.
For how long?
For 100 days, 3 months. They say they can't disperse until they've properly shown their gratitude to their fallen commander.
Wow. And Shubao he sees that.
And he's immediately crushed by shame. He thinks to himself, if these lowly soldiers are this dedicated, who am I to be so disloyal? His political maneuvering suddenly feels so cheap, so dishonorable.
So he changes into mourning clothes himself.
Yeah.
He tries to join them in their grief.
He does. He's trying to perform his loyalty, to reclaim some of that lost honor. But that performance is shattered the moment Tang Wanren walks in.
The man Zhu Tuo died saving.
The very one.
Yeah.
She's also in deep mourning, sword at his hip, tears streaming down his face. And he walks right past Qin Shubao, doesn't even acknowledge him. He goes straight to the memorial tablet and the eulogy he gives. It's not just grief. It is a very public, very pointed accusation aimed directly at Shubao.
How does he say?
He talks about Zhu Tuo's kindness, how he promoted him, shared his own clothes with him, fed him. But then he delivers the final cut.
Okay.
He says, and this is aimed right at Shubao, that even though others whom the Duke valued highly still exist, the only one who truly valued them was the Duke.
He is saying, you're alive, you were valued, and you failed him.
He's saying, our benefactor is dead while you, his favorite, have switched sides. And then Wanren makes his own path clear. He says he refuses to live a shameless life now that his lord is gone. For him, loyalty is absolute. It demands everything.
And then climax.
He strikes the table, calls out to Zhu Tuo's spirit, and says he's going to follow him underground. And he pulls out his sword and commits suicide right there in front of everyone.
That act,
Wow.
that absolute uncompromising sacrifice. What does that do to Shubao?
It just breaks him. All his rationalizations, all his political calculations, they just evaporate. He doesn't even think. He lunges for Wanren's sword, fully intending to kill himself right then and there.
But he's stopped.
He's stopped. Louis Shiksen grabs him and yells the one thing, the only thing that could possibly override that kind of code of honor. He yells, "Brother, have you forgotten your mother?"
His family.
His filial piety, the duty to his living family, suddenly trumps the duty he owes his dead lord. He's physically restrained, and he is forced to live, forced to accept the path of compromise.